Right now, and there we go. And Jenny, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I know you've had a very busy week, and we appreciate you joining us. You want to tell us what you've been busy doing?
Yes. So I am just an amateur cook baker. Professionally, I am a tailor. So I do tailoring for high-end fashion brands and celebrities. So I just do that. I work with my agent and they contact me and set me up with jobs. So in New York, the past few weeks have been Fashion Week, which is a little different this year because of COVID. Really, the past 2 seasons have been different. But I'm lucky enough, one of my main clients, Michael Kors, did have me for the past 2 weeks. So I was working by Bryant Park, preparing their collection that they will show in April. So yeah, that is what I do for my professional work. But I just love how I unwind is by cooking and crafting in the kitchen. So making these hot cocoa cubes combines both for me. So I'm excited to show you guys. Also, and when I make things and cook, I'm always like, there's no mistakes. You can always correct them. Nothing has to be perfect. So even if you don't feel like you're a master in the kitchen, these are super easy to do. And if anyone wants to cook along with me, you can for the first half, because then the cubes need to sit for like 3 or 4 hours in the fridge or overnight. But feel free. And then I think we'll probably wait till the end if there's any questions, but you could probably chat or raise your hand if there is something really important. Yeah, so let's get started. All right. So we're gonna start with the chocolate. So we need 4 ounces of unsweetened cocoa. So this is what I'm using. This is a baker's hot chocolate that you can find usually in most grocery stores. Another thing is too, if you can't find the exact ingredients, there's unsweetened milk chocolate, dark chocolate. There's all different kinds. Even when I made a couple of versions of this, I kind of mixed it up a bit because I couldn't always find the exact ones. If you don't use the 4 ounces of unsweetened, it'll be a little sweeter, but don't be afraid to mix that up. So I'm using this for the chocolate and also Hershey's semi-sweet chocolate chips. So the baker's chocolate actually comes in a bar form. So I chopped some of it up, but then I'm just going to try to chop it up a little more so it melts easily. You'll see it kind of comes like in this type of like a bar. And it's great too, because if you are baking, they're in 1/4 ounce portions, so you can easily just take off what you need. So let's see. So I'm just going to chop this. And then the other thing is I gave the portions in ounces as well as measuring cup. So I actually, for baking, I love a kitchen scale, and you can get a kitchen scale really inexpensive, like on Amazon or, you know, Target or just like a general store or something. So I actually prefer to measure things by weight, and that can just be a more accurate way if you're into baking, if you got onto the bread trend during COVID or anything like that. So let's see, so I'll show you my scale. So, and actually this comes in 4 ounces, so I don't need to weigh the cacao, the unsweetened chocolate, but out my chocolate chips. So we have 4 ounces of that. And then we have 18 ounces of the chocolate chips, which is a little bit more than the standard bag. So this. And there we go. So that's just about 14 ounces. But that's totally fine too if you use measuring cups. So next we're gonna heat the milk. So with the milk, you're really not going to have to heat it long. I guess it's depending on if you have like a gas or an electric. Gas goes like much quicker. The key is you just don't want to burn it or scald it. So just keep an eye on it. So then I'm using sweetened condensed milk, which a lot of times at the grocery store, it's right next to evaporated milk. And I think when people have tried to make these recipes and they failed, it was because they accidentally got evaporated milk. So I always put that in bold to just be careful and get the right thing. So I'm just going to put the whole can in because it calls for all 14 ounces. All right. Get my spatula. Yeah, it's very sticky. So the nice thing is too with this, there's sugar in it. So it's going to add a sweetness. That's why you want to use a little bit of the unsweetened chocolate. So it's not too overly sweet. But again, you can adjust it based on like, if you're more of a dark chocolate person, milk chocolate, you can kind of like mix and match. And just as long as it's 22 ounces of chocolate you're using. You could even use like Lindt bars and different things like that. Okay, and then let's see, a half cup of heavy cream. So actually in this recipe as well, what we end up making is kind of like a simple shelf stable fudge. So even if you don't want to go all the way and make the hot chocolate, you can eat it just as a fudge and it's really delicious. So now I'm just going to turn my burner on
Really?
medium.
I love that idea.
Yes. So I may have eaten some just as fudge.
Okay, good to know.
So I also say, because I think when we do the decorating at the end, which is like, for me, is like the really fun part, you can really then make it almost like any season. Like obviously hot chocolate is great when it's cold, but you can decorate it with like certain colors or kind of sprinkles and have it be like an Easter or what is St. Patty's Day, like fudge decorated in that way. So now I'm gonna just stir it. You just want to stir it constantly, whisk it, so that it never burns on the bottom, because this will heat up really quickly. And what you're looking for is just about a minute or two, and you'll start seeing consistent bubbles. Let's see if I can bring you a little closer. Just have the camera propped up on my son's high chair. There we go. And then once you start to see the bubbles, yeah, and then once we actually like lay out the chocolate, one of the ways they say is to like use an 8x8 pan. And I am, again, like, I don't want to go out and buy tons of new stuff. I like to try to use what I have on hand and like adjust the recipe or be creative so that I don't always have to go out and buy stuff. So
excuse me, how
yes.
high do you have the heat?
I have it on medium right now. So I just really want it to like gently heat up. You don't want it to like go too fast. You want to do it like a medium low. And then I'm starting to see the bubbles, and what you'll see is I wonder if I can, here, let me just, the bubbles like consistently start bubbling up. So they're starting a little bit. You just like a simmer. Once it's to the simmer, we're going to take it off the heat. So almost there. And that's really like more than anything, it's just so that the chocolate can melt in it evenly. So now I am like at a nice little simmer where it's heating. And the other thing is too, you'll start seeing like a little bit of steam coming off about the time when it's ready to be taken off. So I'm gonna just turn the heat off. And I would say if you have an electric stove, I would move the pan so that it's not still heating, so it doesn't burn. And then I'm just going to add in my chocolate. And then the chocolate chips are great because you don't have to chop them all up. So then I kind of just shake the pan a little bit to let the chocolate start melting. And get the whisk again, and then just whisk it. So just give it, just constantly whisk it. You're gonna start seeing it melt. And then it makes this like beautiful, once everything's melted, it looks like super shiny and combined and not lumpy anymore. So you basically, once you don't see lumps, then you'll know it's combined. A little bit of time. And a lot of muscle.
And Jen, how do you know how long you have to stir it? This is where I get in trouble sometimes. I don't know how.
You can't over stir it per se. You could probably under stir it. Once you just you want all the chocolate pieces to be melted, and if you stir it constantly, it'll just look really smooth eventually. I still see like a couple little lumps, and I think it's like chocolate that hasn't melted yet. So, you know, about 3 minutes. But then it just looks super smooth and shiny and pretty. I grew up in Pennsylvania. We used to go to Hershey Chocolate Factory in Hershey, PA, and the smell and like watching the chocolate twirl around like this, it reminds me going to Chocolate World there. It's like one of my favorite memories. I don't know if anyone has ever been there to that amusement park in Chocolate World. So
now I know why I loved it so much, because it was Hershey's chocolate.
yes, yes.
That's my favorite chocolate.
I know, I meant to tell you that. Yes, I used Hershey's chocolate.
Now it makes perfect sense why I loved it so much.
Okay, so now I am done whisking. Now I'm going to take the spatula. So now at this point too, since I'm not going to put the spatula back in the chocolate, I can test it and take a lick and see how it tastes. Delicious. Put that in the sink. Don't lick it and put it back in the pot. I know you guys all know that, but so now I'm going to take a spatula and I'm just going to go around the corners just to make sure that everything was combined, and give it like one last good stir. Let's see if you guys can see. So I made another batch of this this morning. So once I show you how to lay it out, then I'm going to move over to that one so I can show you how to cut them up. But let's see, I'm going to move over. So now this part, let's see. So approximately you're going to want to make like an 8x8 like cube of this chocolate. So like I said, I don't like to go out and buy like a new pan. So I want to use what I have on hand. But so I have this baking sheet. It's 8 inches wide, but it is like a little longer. What I'm going to do, you want to put parchment paper in no matter what size you're using. You can even use like a baking sheet or something. And the parchment paper is great because it's going to help things not stick. Now, if you don't have that, you could put aluminum foil, saran wrap, and like put a little like cooking spray or coconut oil or something down. The coconut oil will have a little flavor, but something with like the least amount of flavor, just so it won't stick. But again, if you don't have parchment paper and you like to cook and bake, I highly recommend having some at home because you can use it for like roasting vegetables, all different kind of things. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop. I use a piece a little bigger than this. I'm just going to kind of plop it in. And you don't really have to worry so much. I just try to put it more in the middle about the size at this point, because what I do is then I use the parchment paper to help shape it, to shape this square. So this, and this is other part too. If it's messy, we are going to eventually cut these cubes up and cover them in decorations. So you don't even really have to worry if it's not like perfect or it doesn't look like exact or like super smooth. This is the part where it's like, you don't need to be precise. Okay, so I'm getting all the chocolate. So yeah, and this will make about 25 cubes. So then we'll end up cutting them like 5 by 5 rows. Still a little chocolate left, but you can lick that when you're done. So now what I end up doing is, so I want it to be about 8 inches wide, which the pan is. Parchment paper is a little loud. So then I kind of just like shake it. And spread it to the edges like you would like a cake if you ever made like a cake batter, but I'm gonna have it stop right here so it makes a square shape. Now it's best to just do this. So if you're doing this like tonight, I don't think you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night to finish it, but then you can just let it sit out at room temperature. But if you're making it in the morning and you want to have it done quicker, you can let it set in the fridge for 3 to 4 hours. So I spread it out a little bit. Let's see if I can closer. So now it is just a square. So we can just let that set. You can kind of go like this too, and just let it settle. But and just pull the edges up just to help shape it a little bit, because as it cools down as well, it'll be a little bit easier to like shape into a square if you feel like it's spread out a lot or just like isn't looking right. I would just let it like sit for like 15 minutes and it's still like a little bit pliable. So now I'm going to put this to the side, but if anyone has any questions, you could unmute and ask me now about what we've done. Okay, so I'm going to put this to the side. And now just take out. So I actually made a half batch earlier. So this is a half batch. So it does just look just like fudge once it's done. Peels right off of the parchment paper. And now again, depending on if you're the kind of person that likes things a little bit more precise, or you know, whatever style you want to go, you can also just trim the edges off a little bit to help make it like a little bit more perfect. And again, it's just fudge, so you can set that aside, can eat that. So the other trick when you're cutting this, just to make it a little more smooth, is I like to just mark the lines like lightly with the knife. And then you go back and you let the knife run under hot water between cuts and clean it. And that helps to make like a more precise cut. So I'm just going to cut off my edges first so that it's a little bit cleaner. And now I said this was a half batch, so I'm going to do 12 cubes and cut it 3 by 4. So let me just rinse my knife. Hot water. So my towel. So we'll do. And if you are the kind of precise person, you can even pull out your ruler and measure it. But I don't mind if my cubes are all like a little bit slightly different in size. That's fine with me. Yeah, so after this, I'm going to show you guys how to decorate. So we're going to work with melting chocolate, which melting chocolate actually isn't chocolate, like exactly. It's more like it's a blend of different oils, and it's much more stable for melting and decorating than like a typical chocolate. So I mean, we're only putting a little bit on, so it's like a really great thing when you're like decorating any kind of candy. And then I'm going to use the microwave, but if you don't have a microwave, you could just use a double boiler. And you can, if you don't have like a proper double boiler, you can just take a saucepan and put water in the bottom, and then put a bowl on top that fits on top, a heat-proof bowl. So you wouldn't want to use like plastic, but aluminum or glass. And that is a great way to make a makeshift double boiler. And that's, double boilers are used a lot in candy making, which candy making can become like very like complicated, but that's why I love this recipe, because it's like very easy and very foolproof. Okay, so now I have my cubes. And now at this point too, you could use them as hot chocolate. And I sent you guys the directions on how to like make the hot chocolate, which is heating the milk. And then you just like stir it in until it's melted. But I like to make it, you know, a little bit more fancy. So what we're gonna do, so I have, oh, it's like blown out a little bit, the color, but here. So I have like white chocolate, white melting chocolates. They're like little discs. So if you ever see those like little candy making discs, that's what those are. So I'm just gonna walk over to the microwave and microwave these, which you'll wanna do this in 30-second increments so it doesn't burn, and stir in between.
Jenny, where do you get the white chocolate from?
So I got the white chocolate from Michael's. You can also like buy it on Amazon. So since like getting into the decorating stuff, I wouldn't say that you're always going to find that at your local grocery store, but if you do want to have some really cool like things to decorate with, and whether it's like some of these sprinkles, I got these at Michael's, and I guess it's blown out a little bit. But
Maybe,
I also got
maybe if
it's
you
a
try
lollipop
the other
stick.
camera, maybe your
Oh yeah,
try that one. See if they could see it under the other computer, maybe.
oh, wait. Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
like a little,
yeah.
yeah. So I have these like really cool sprinkles from Michael's. So that's like a really good resource if you if you like doing this and decorating. I think there's a Michael's.
Yeah,
there
so
one?
I could add both spotlights now. We could see you from both sides.
Oh, okay.
The wonderful technology.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. Okay. So yeah, this might be a little easier. So you can see it already started melting. So, and actually I might not even need to really put it in. I'll probably do it for another 15 seconds. And then after I do this, I'm gonna put it in a piping bag. So again, I have piping bags because I love decorating cakes. So I use my piping bags a lot for that. But if you don't have that, you can just use like a Ziploc bag, or you could even take parchment paper and make a little cone and like cut a hole. So again, you can really use anything. All right, I'm just gonna microwave this again. It's just a little few that aren't melted. And then this is also used for making peppermint bark, these like melting chocolates. If you like peppermint.
I'm going to leave the main spotlight on this computer now. I think it's easier to follow.
Okay. Great. So now, yeah, this is nice and smooth now. All right, so let's get to the side. So you can get a piping bag that is reusable. This is a disposable piping bag, a single use, just plastic. So I'm just gonna put in the chocolate. With the spatula. Okay. And I just used one handful since I was doing half a batch. If I was doing the full batch, I would probably do 2 handfuls of chocolate. So what you want to do is basically press it down. Start from the top, kind of like a toothpaste tube. You want to get it, there's no air. And then the tip of it, I'm going to cut like a little hole. So if you do a tiny hole, you're going to have like more of a drizzle, a larger one. I would always say start small and then go bigger because you can't really go back. All right. So now I would either get, I have 4 different options for decorating. So I have these really cool like Christmas ones with like a bunch of different sprinkles and candy canes. I have some colored sugars in green and red. And then I also had a candy cane around the house. So you can buy crushed candy cane, but you can also just crush it yourself for any kind of candy you're into. So these are the 4 that I'm going to use to decorate after I drizzle. I'm going to get a plate out. You know what? You want to do 2. It's actually, you don't have to put the skewers in, but I find it a little easier to decorate them with the skewers on. So then we're just going to skewer each one. And then with this, you don't have to use it. You can use, I got these specifically, they're called cookie sticks from Michael's, but you can use popsicle sticks or coffee stirrers. So, all right. So then, all right, so I have my whole cut. And now this is where you can just get totally creative. So I like to do a little drizzle all around, and that's where the stick is great because you can hold it. And even I find this like really beautiful. So even if you don't want to put on like any sprinkles, even to just like do this like really pretty crisscross design, I think it's really fun. So yeah, I might keep that one as is. I think it's really pretty. And then here we'll do one with the sprinkles. And then, and then there it is. And then you can just put it on its side, and those will like dry in about, I would let them sit probably for about an hour to fully dry, but they'll probably be like in about 10 minutes. So here's another one. And then the other thing that I have is marshmallows. So I just got like the jumbo puff marshmallows from the grocery store, which I love. Those are like my favorite. But also at Michael's, they had this brand called Smashmallow that were like these really cool square ones, and they have all different flavors. So that's like a really like fun one. So now I'm doing the peppermint, which I think is really cool. Maybe I'll do like a little sugar on top. So then it's like, and that's my, I guess that's the best part of like making cookies at Christmas too, is decorating them. So I love doing those. Yeah, and then here I'll show you. We can even put the marshmallow in. So you could do it after you decorate it, or you could do it now and even get like a little bit of actually, no. Now I'm remembering when I did this before. Actually, you will want to put the marshmallow on first because it'll get sticky, and then put your fudge on. So then we have a really cool, the cube and the marshmallow. Yeah. So that, I think that looks really cool too with the white chocolate on the marshmallow. And the melting chocolates, you can get them in all different colors, which is really fun. Like they pretty much have like every color of the rainbow. So even if you were doing like a party favor or something, or like a baby shower, like you could do something like this. And let's do a little peppermint too. So there you go. Yeah, and then that is the cubes. And then I'll show you how I package them up. So you can see the Smashmallows that I made Christmas. So I also got these bags at Michael's, and they were cookie bags is what the packaging was called. And then they came with like the little wrap, and I included the directions when I gave them as gifts, which I also, in the email, there was a printable. So you guys can print out one of those, and it has like 4 directions, and you can cut them up and just tape them on. Yeah. So I'm going to keep decorating, but if anyone wants to unmute and ask me any questions, or if anyone has started making it, let me know.
Anyone have questions or comments? It looks awesome.
It does. There she goes.
How many do you usually get per batch?
25, which is a good amount. So you can definitely share. And I would do, if you do the melting chocolate, I would do it in batches just because it will start to cool as you're working with it. So I wouldn't like do a ton. And you can just put it right back in the same bag, pastry bag. And then, yeah, you don't need to keep these in the fridge. They're stable. So you can just keep them out.
We're getting a few comments in the chat. Erin Provenzano says it looks amazing, delicious and colorful. And Teresa is saying looks great. Definitely want to try this.
Awesome.
What I love about it, they look so beautiful. It looked like so intricate and detailed. And I mean, and the way you showed it, it's definitely doable and enjoyable. I love all the different options that you have. And like you say, you could do this any time of year. I'm thinking even 4th of July, red, white, and blue.
Yes. And then instead of calling it hot cocoa, then you could just call it like fudge on a stick, or
Right.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for
And
me,
you
this
use
is really
real
my
sticks.
first time working with melting chocolate. I hadn't worked with it before, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty, not crazy to figure out, but it definitely makes it look like special.
I'm thinking use real sticks and you could toast the marshmallow after you eat the chocolate on the 4th of July.
Yeah, so that it could be like a really, you know what? No, that's actually perfect. It could be like a s'mores kind of thing.
Oh
If you're going
yeah, that's
camping.
right.
Yes, if you're going camping, you should totally like, yeah, you give
Yeah.
those out as like a
Throw a
little.
graham cracker in there. So Teresa is saying, how many do you put in a bag if you're giving it as a gift?
I did 2. You could do up to 3, but I just thought 2 was like a nice, like especially if you're giving it to a couple or something, or like to one person. So yeah, I did 2 or 3. Do you want to say hi, Roman?
Oh, is he
Is
here?
that why everyone came?
Okay, and Emily asked a question. How long do they last?
So they'll last like about like 2 months. If anything, they're not going to go bad. But if you've ever had like chocolate for a little while, there's something that happens. It's like called bloom. So it's not that it's like gone bad. It just doesn't look as pretty. So I would try to eat them within like a month or
Okay.
so. But yeah, you have at least 2 months.
And what are the directions of the hot dog?
What's that?
You make it.
Oh, sorry. Right here.
Oh, yeah. So Jen, do you want to just Grammy is asking the directions for the hot chocolate. So they're heating up the milk.
Yes. So if you don't have a microwave, you can heat it on the stove top. The thing is similar with when we were heating it up, once it starts steaming and bubbling, like take it off. You just don't want the milk to scald. And I feel like microwaves, every microwave is so different. Some are stronger, some are like not very strong. So I just heat it up in 30-second increments. And I like to put the chocolate in and the marshmallow and then heat it up just so it can start going. Because you do have to stir it for a little while. Like once the milk's warm, you just have to stir it for a little bit for it to fully melt. But
Okay.
once it does, it is amazing. And you will be very happy.
So Roman is wanting to taste some.
Yes, he did have a teeny little bit from this batch I made this morning. I let him lick the spoon after we were done. So I think he likes chocolate like the whole family.
Yeah.
But we had to limit it soon enough.
He'll be getting down to Hershey yet, right?
Yes. Yeah, so I would say, if this looks fun to you, get some bags, get some melting chocolates and experiment, because I think you can really like do it even if you're not doing fudge. If you're doing cookies or like playing with a different kind of candy, you could get really creative and make it look like very, like it was bought at a fancy boutique. So it's just
Awesome.
a great pandemic craft too, something to do. Hopefully
yes.
we're almost out. But
well, I think and I know that even before the pandemic, I know that our patrons that really love the cooking programs, and so it's great that we've been able to continue them on Zoom, and everybody's able to share. So we really appreciate you sharing one of your favorite recipes with us.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Fun.
So again, before we wrap up, does anybody else have any other questions?
And please, if you make these, send photos to the library. I'd love to see.
Right. And by the way, it is Love Your Library Month at the library. We are having we're having a special raffle for a $25 gift card to Starbucks. So if you can email us, or you can stop at the library. We have little hearts on a poster, but you can email us as well, and you could tell us what you love about the library. We'll put your name into a drawing for a $25 gift card. So I will
Could you show us how she puts that in the bags?
Can you? What?
She puts.
She just. Yeah. She just.
Yeah. Okay. Just
yes.
do it in a little bag.
Can you just show the bag again, just so she can see you put them in there?
Yeah. So Yeah, and you use like a spatula and just add it in. And I say like, just like a toothpaste, imagining just trying to get that last bit of toothpaste out at the end. Is
She
the best
means
way.
When you
Oh,
give-
the,
we give them as gifts. Can you show her the
Oh,
gift
this.
bag again? Thanks so much.
so that is the cute, oh, there we go. This might be a little better. The
Yeah.
color.
That is
Yeah, isn't that
yes,
cute?
Very cute, yes.
I love
There's
it.
Roman.
There he is. Hi, Roman.
Yeah, so then you have a beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I guess you guys could.
Yeah,
blown
I'll
out.
switch cameras now. Let me switch it back to the other camera. Hold on a second. Hold on.
It's a little strong. There we go.
Okay.
With
there
my
we go.
lighting.
Yeah. Looks beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Wow.
so much.
Yeah, so definitely a great gift to share. I know I'm gonna have to find some friends to share with because we can't eat them all here.
I'm
We
sure
probably
everybody will
could,
be running,
but
running over to share it with you. That's for sure.
yeah, we definitely will want to get these out of the house soon. But also I was gonna say too, depending on, I also say the amount of milk, you can do like a half cup all the way up to a cup, just depending on how like rich you like it. Oh, you want some Roman? And I love it like super rich. Even sometimes I'll put a little heavy cream or half and half in my milk mixture and just have
Yes.
almost like a drinking chocolate. But again, you know, you can do it, play around with it a bit. But if
Right.
you're feeling very indulgent,
Yeah.
I like to do that.
No, I think it's true. And I think everybody feels that way about hot chocolate anyway. You know, some people like it very strong, some people like it
Mhm.
weaker. So, well, thank you so
was
much.
great.
And thank you
welcome.
everybody for coming today. And I'll resend those out again just to make sure that everybody got the recipes. And it looks just delicious. I can't wait. I have a couple more here. And I know after I'm shoveling tomorrow, I'll be settling down to another one. to
Yes,
enjoy.
right. Before good timing before the next snowstorm. I can't even keep up with all the storms right now.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And thanks
Lovely.
everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so much.
everyone.
It was
Thank
very
you.
nice.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, Roman. Bye, Roman.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody stay safe.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming.